Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Glad to have you join us on Housing TV News at the top of the hour, coming to you from our studio in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mimuna Bagudo. Our top stories. Senate considers bill to establish National Food Reserve Agency. Federal government to ban export of cooking gas from November 1st to crash prices. Obasanjo says regionalism is the root of Nigerians' problem. Wike declares war on street beggars in Abuja City. Human Rights Writers Association condemns federal government housing projects for judges. On the foreign scene, lawsuits blames Seattle for lack of affordable housing. We begin with national matters. The federal government has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) and liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) producers to halt the export of LPG or cooking gas from November 1st to reduce prices across the country. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources Gas, Mr. Ekperikpe Ekpo, gave these directives on Tuesday at a meeting with stakeholders in Abuja. According to the minister's spokesperson, Leos Iba, the meeting focused on the skyrocketing price of cooking gas in the country. Furthermore, ECHO explained that the directives were a step towards addressing the underlying challenges and ensuring that Nigerians have access to affordable cooking gas. President Bola Tinubu says that Nigerian drivers now face a choice. They can either pay 1,000 naira per litre for regular petrol, which is known as premium motor spirit, or use a cheaper alternative, compressed natural gas, CNG, at 200 naira per standard cubic meter. Tinubu shared this information on Tuesday at the State House in Abuja during a meeting with executives from the Nigerian Independent Petroleum Company, NIPCO, including Director Mr. Ramesh Kasangra. As reported by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement titled President Tinubu Meets NIPCO Executives, commends investment in the CNG sector. The Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has called on the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to grant concessional loans to Nigeria and other countries undertaking economic reforms. The minister made the call on Tuesday at the G24 Leaders News Conference during IMF World Bank meetings. Edun said loan requirements for multilateral and developmental partners are for countries to undertake reforms.
Fundamentally, of course, foreign exchange and liquidity generally is very difficult. There are countries that they are reforming their economies domestically. They key into the rules-based world trading system, and they do have debt sustainability in terms of debt to GDP. However, they have liquidity constraints, particularly foreign exchange with relation to debt servicing of their foreign debt, but also their domestic debt. And I think to bring that's the context within which the discussions of how to help, and in fact, it's the IMF is specifically focusing on how to help. It's a sort of bridge financing that takes a country that does have its fundamentals right, but it gives it enough time for that adjustment, and probably helps it with heightened debt servicing, which is just for a period.
Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo on Tuesday said the principle of regionalism has continued to plague the country, describing it as the root of Nigerians' problems. He said this in his remarks when the League of Northern Democrats, led by former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekaro, visited his home in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. In his remarks, the former governor of Kano State, Ibrahim Shekaro, explained that the group is an amalgamation of like minds from the northern extraction. He noted that the group of 400 members came into existence 3 months ago as a result of various consultations and discussions.
It is about our existence as a nation, as one people, regardless of our political leanings. We came together with a clear vision to mobilize and enlighten our citizens the need to join hands together, to work together, and influence political developments regardless of the political parties. The sum total of our vision is to advocate righteousness in politics, righteousness in governance, and our oneness as a nation.
In his remarks, former President Olusegun Obasanjo noted that the principle of regionalism, which was adopted at independence, is still being craved today. The former president, however, expressed optimism in a better Nigeria, provided the right leadership is in place.
Nigeria is greater than any of us, or part of Nigeria. And we should see Nigeria in the holistic form that we should see it. This country can play a very, very significant role in the world affairs. We have tried something near that before. We were not anywhere close to the front line as far as the struggle for final liquidation of colonialism in Africa is concerned and removing apartheid. But we were classified as members of the front lines.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, has announced a crackdown on beggars in Abuja, citing concerns over the security risks they pose and the negative impact on the city's image. Wike made this declaration during the commencement of the construction of an access road from the Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway to the judges' quarters in Katampe District, Abuja, on Tuesday. He expressed dissatisfaction with the growing number of beggars in the city, stating that Abuja is in danger of becoming a beggar's city. Wike urged residents to take responsibility for their family members who beg on the streets, warning that authorities will begin removing beggars from the city starting next week. The pro-democracy civil society organization Human Rights Writers Association, HURIWA, has condemned the federal government's action of building living mansions for judges. HURIWA, according to a statement by the National Coordinator, Comrade Emmanuel Omubiko, believes that the housing assets allocated and are being speedily erected by the APC-led administration for transfer to the judges and the justice is a clear plot to pocket these judicial officials who are expected to dispense justice fairly and justly in matters involving different political parties, politicians, citizens, and groups. The statement described the move as corruption and systematic bribery of the judiciary for the executive branch of the government. The rights group expressed fear that henceforth it will be tough for litigants filing cases against the office of the President of Nigeria or the officials of the Federal Capital Authority and administration to expect to get justice, since the executive branch of the government has already dangled juicy carrots in the forms of exotic housing assets in the choicest area of Abuja to judges and the justices of the Federal High Court and the appellate courts. Now, as part of efforts to fast-track justice delivery in Lagos State, a bill to significantly reduce litigation time at the magistrate and high courts has been sent to the State House of Assembly for approval. The Attorney General of Lagos and Commissioner for Justice, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Lawal Pedro, said when passed, the bill will ensure that civil cases last not more than 2 years in courts and tenancy matters no more than 6 months. Pedro disclosed these at a press conference held at the Ministry of Justice Conference Room, Alausa, Ikeja, to commemorate his first year in office and to set the stage for the upcoming strategic stakeholders meeting of his ministry scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday. Other innovations the Lagos State Ministry of Justice has introduced include the establishment of the State Criminal Information System to capture photographs and biometrics and identify the cases of all inmates in the correctional centers in Lagos State. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission has challenged journalists to ensure factual reportage of stories in the build-up to the November 16 governorship election in Ondo State. INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner for Ondo State, Oluwatoyin Babalola, gave these advice in Akure, the state capital, at a workshop for media practitioners in the state. Babalola described the role of media in shaping public opinion and disseminating information as invaluable. She admonished the media to check the threats of fake news to prevent unnecessary tension and violence in the November 16 election.
Your platforms have been a broad reach, and your voices have the power to inspire action among the public. As the election draws near, the threat of fake news remains a significant concern. Misinformation has the potential to incite unnecessary tension and violence, and it's vital that we collaborate to prevent this. I urge you to exercise caution and be diligent in verifying any information before disseminating it, particularly when it pertains to the Commission's activities and the electoral process.
Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Navy has expressed its dissatisfaction over the dismissal of Seaman Abbas and refusal to provide information on alleged acquisition of foreign platform without proper disclosure and due process. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Yusuf Gadi, stated these while addressing journalists after a closed-door session with the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, and other officers at the Naval Headquarters in Abuja on Monday. Honorable Gadi says the committee visited the Naval Headquarters as part of his statutory oversight function, stating that every House committee has the constitutional right to do so. He lamented that the committee wrote to the Navy to provide some needed information on Seaman Abbas, also on relevant documents to guide the committee on its oversight function ahead of its visit, which the Navy refused to act on. Earlier, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, stated that the Nigerian Navy has the most difficult operations of all the Nigerian armed forces.
Money appropriated to Navy is being spent, how intervention by the good President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is being judiciously used by the Navy, how the junior officers and the senior officers are being treated by the senior officers of the Navy, including the famous case of Seaman Haruna, how he was suddenly dismissed. It is our responsibility on behalf of the Nigerian people to ask Navy question on these pertinent issues. We have asked them. We are generally not comfortable. We have said that we will go to all naval commands and bases to perform a deep-rooted oversight function to know how resources are being used and how disciplinary matters is being handled by the Nigerian Navy.
So in trying to carry out this responsibility, we are faced with a lot of challenges, and sometimes very difficult for us to convince the public on the extent of requirement, what we need. And some of these challenges include, of course, inadequate resources to be able to perform these roles, problems of maintenance issues, considering that Nigeria is not very, very good when it comes to industrial capacity. You see that most of our maintenance requirements and our procurement requirements are foreign-based, and looking at the current issue with the economy, that becomes a very, very, very serious challenge for us.
We take a pause here. More stories coming your way after this break. Stay with us.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the Africa International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
Welcome back. Glad to know you're still there. Moving on to the Senate. A bill sponsored by Senator Salihu Mustafa, APC Kwara Central, from an act to establish the National Food Reserve Agency has scaled through a second reading in the Red Chamber. In his lead debate, Senator Salihu Mustafa said the bill, when passed into law, will provide a legal framework for the country's National Food or Grains Reserve Agency to function better than the way it is today.
President, distinguished colleagues, the bill seeks to further develop the agricultural sector by ensuring national food security and income through marketing and storage services, as well as addressing emergency food crisis. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill will also establish the National Food Reserve Agency for the purpose of implementing the National Food Reserve Policy, reducing post-harvest losses, and providing food security for the nation.
The bill, supported by many senators, has passed for the third reading.
The need for having food reserve for the country. A country of over 200 million people cannot have self-sufficiency and food security without food reserve. And for that reason, the federal government saw it right and established the agency. We even have the agency in existence.
President, distinguished senators, this agency, when established, is not only going to work by way of price stabilization, because the agency will be charged with the responsibility of buying up surplus with a view to storing it during the period of harvest. And when there is scarcity, the agency will now bring it out and sell it to the members of the public by way of subsidized price.
Addressing the media soon after the plenary, Senator Salihu Mustafa said the bill will concentrate more on the legal framework and increase food preservations by buying grains from the local farmers for the agency to preserve. In order to reduce the increasing rate of malaria patients in the country, especially in Ogun State, over 3.1 million people of the state have been penciled down to receive free insecticide-treated nets and ITNS free of charge. The project director of Global Fund for Malaria, Mr. John Ocholi, disclosed these at a media parley on insecticide-treated nets universal coverage campaign in Abeokuta, the state capital. Ocholi, who said that Nigeria is winning the war against malaria parasites, said the goal of the campaign is to ensure every family living a healthy life, as well as reduced spending on health care.
So for this campaign, Society for Family Health, supporting the Ogun State Ministry of Health and with support from Federal Ministry of Health and other partners, we plan to distribute about 3.1 million nets to households, yes, to every community in the state. But there's a catch to it. And the catch is that you as the media need to understand this catch so that you can help us. In 2010, the prevalence of malaria in Nigeria was about 45%. which means from every 10 people you count, 5 of them have the malaria parasite in their body. By 2015, we were able to bring it down to somewhere around 27%, which means that for every 10 you count, maybe 3 people have the parasite. But at that last count, 2021, 2022, we're now seeing that we are getting close to like 21, 22%, which means that from every 10 people you count, only 2 people will have the parasite.
Speaking on the distribution modalities, the Ogun State Malaria Elimination Program, Project Manager Mrs. Olamide Adeyinka disclosed that the government will be engaging 14,000 personnel with over 1,400 distribution points across all 20 local governments of the state to carry out the exercise.
These nets are already in the state, and they are being moved as we speak to the local government areas where there are LGA stores. And from these LGA stores, they will be moved to identified distribution points for distribution to beneficiaries. Across the state, at the local government level, we have personnel that will be distributing. There are community members who will be involved as household mobilizers, distributors, recorders, and other personnel too throughout the campaign. So it's a whole lot. A lot of people will be involved. Over 14,000 personnel will be engaged across the state.
There have been pockets of misinformation though, and even still now there are informations that are not complete or not completely packed or not completely packaged for the beneficiaries. For instance, you watch in the television advertisement that has to do with malaria treatment and so on. What you often see is somebody break down with malaria and given maybe a particular choice of medicine to drink. I assure you, there's one key aspect of that information that is missing.
The campaign is being put together by the National Malaria Elimination Program, NMEP, Catholic Relief Services, CRS, and Society for Family Health, with funding for the Global Fund Malaria Project. Now, the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, NITP, during its 55th International Conference and Annual General Meeting in Enugu, honored the Governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, and the Executive Governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, for their exceptional contributions to town planning and urban development. Giving his remarks, Governor Mba, who was represented by his deputy, Barrister Ifeanyi Osai, commended the NITP for its unwavering commitment to fostering sustainable urban development across Nigeria.
Part of the problem we've had is a lot of us don't even know their role and value. For a sustainable environment, friendly environment, and even less expensive environment, we need to work hand in hand with planners. And that's what I'm taking out from this conference. We are building the new Enugu city. We are trying to relocate our broader citizens from slums, moving them to better places for residents. We want to we are replanning Enugu already. Even the whole part of Enugu, we are doing regeneration. You see the aggressive investments we are making in infrastructure, road network. We are working with private sector investors to ensure that we have our own captive power for industries and businesses, because one thing to keep investing in housing is that you must create businesses where people will work. And these are all part of what we'll be engaging with the planners going forward.
In his remarks, the Governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto, expressed deep gratitude upon receiving the award from NITP. He acknowledged the recognition as a testament to the state's commitment to urban development. He emphasized that the award motivates him and his administration to continue prioritizing sustainable town planning initiatives.
Call to the town planners, they should be more realistic in terms of buildings that collapse, you understand. Let them take measures, let them collaborate with the National Assembly, state governors, you understand, state assembly members, so that they will come up with a very powerful laws, you understand, that will give them back up so as to avoid anything damages when it comes to building and town planning generally.
Expressing gratitude to the attendees, the National President of NITP Town Planner, Nathaniel Atebije, acknowledged the collaboration of key stakeholders who have contributed to the success of the Institute over the years. Now, on the foreign scene, the Ministry of Public Works and Housing in Gaza has revealed that more than 250,000 housing units have been destroyed in the Gaza Strip as a result of the ongoing Israeli aggression that began on 7th October 2023. The ministry said in a statement that over 0.25 million housing units have either been fully or partially destroyed, marking them uninhabitable. It also clarified that over 80% of the roads have been damaged and require extensive rehabilitation. Additionally, most of the ministry's heavy machinery and equipment has been targeted and is now out of service. Since the onset of the war, Israel has pursued a policy of demolishing homes and infrastructure in Gaza as part of its collective punishment, with no international deterrent in place. The owner of an international district apartment building is blaming the city of Seattle for a loss of affordable housing. A lawsuit filed on behalf of Grey Downtowner LLC, owner of the Addison on 4th apartment building, says a series of ordinances passed by the Seattle City Council between 2018 and 2022 have destroyed affordable housing options in the city. In 1911, the building originally opened as the New Richmond Hotel. In 2012, the building that is now the Addison on 4th was purchased by Grey Downtowner. With the help of the low-income housing tax credit and his historic tax credit, the company began a major renovation project to create 254 affordable housing units, according to a news release from the Rental Housing Association of Washington. The lawsuit claims 6 ordinances passed by the City Council include regulations that have caused significant financial and operational challenges for affordable housing projects. Now, that's the much we can take on Housing TV News at the top of the hour. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Senate considers bill to establish National Food Reserve Agency. Federal government to ban export of cooking gas from November 4th to crash prices. Obasanjo says regionalism is the root of Nigerians' problem. Wike declares war on street beggars in Abuja cities. Human Rights Writers Association condemns federal government housing project for judges. And on the foreign scene, lawsuit blames Seattle for lack of affordable housing. For more news in the housing sector, subscribe to Housing TV Africa on YouTube and follow Housing TV Africa on all social media platforms. Download the app on Google Play Store, which is Housing TV Africa, and also available on Apple Store. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye-bye.